appreciate it. Greetings and salutations.
Good evening. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order at this time. We will have our clerk read the roll.
Bolden.
Aye.
Boys.
Aye.
Connor. Davis. DeShazier.
Present.
Fusco. Garrett.
Present.
Hannah.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Amobian.
Here.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Noel Beck, who is the co-founder of First Glance. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilwoman Amobian will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in prayer. God, we thank you for this city. We thank you for the way that you're leading and guiding these individuals, these city leaders. Thank you for placing them here in this time in order to lead our city. And so we invite you to lead them, give them wisdom, direction. Will you be with our city? Will you unite us as we continue to move forward in order to see continual unity, that you break the bonds of addiction and violence, and that we as a community, for city leaders to citizens, that we unite in order for Akron to be a place of light and peace. And so we ask that you lead each one of these individuals as they help lead our city. In your son's name, Jesus, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The motion to approve the minutes passes 13-0.
At this time, we will move to our public comment period. Going to ask for all those who have signed up to please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do. I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Just going to ask, when you hear your name, please approach the podium and you'll have 3 minutes to speak to this body. We're going to begin with Laura Lawson.
Hi, I made it finally. That's just an in-house joke. I have prepared a proposal for the city to take a look at for the stray animals. It's not a solution to our problem, but it might actually help get a grip on it, since it seems like a building might not be an idea for us. It's something that's tremendously needed because we do work with the City of Akron dog wardens and all the local police departments, so we're on call 24/7 like you stated before. But if you could pass these along, if you have one already, please skip over and hand it to the next one so each one could take a look. It does need some tweaks and corrections, but it's just an idea. If we can stop some of the rescues in the community from bringing dogs from outside the community into ours, maybe we can get control on our own home grounds. And if, like I said before, if the city of Akron can't get another building, then maybe we can at least stop that for 2 years, more if needed. But it just started getting worse when the pandemic hit. And I don't see any solutions other than this. Okay?
Laura, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure that all council members get a copy of this and we get back in touch with you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. James Marshall?
Hi, my name is James Marshall. I've been born and raised here in the city of Akron. Been through a lot of trials and tribulations just like anyone else, had a hard upbringing. So I worked hard to try to serve the community, take my pain, give it to the community and heal it. So that's what I do. So what I've done is I taught myself how to airbrush. But in 2001, I was living in the Roaming Crossing Apartments, Roaming Road, formerly known as the Woods, for 7 years. I paid rent 7 years. There was a sewage flood, and it was really bad. So the maintenance guy, he was really racist. He was very rude. He maced me. Management, I tried to talk to management. I tried to call corporate. No one called me. So I ended up calling the city. They condemned out of place. So after that, it was hard for me to find a place to live. They blocked me from the housing. And next thing you know, I couldn't go anywhere. They didn't renew my housing situation. So I was pretty much homeless, didn't have anywhere to go. But all their gangster mobster friends wouldn't let me in this housing. And ever since then, I've been being attacked, followed around the city, harassed. And so back then, though, they pushed me out of the city. When I moved into that place, I opened a business in Minter Mall. Gangsters were in front of my business, trying to intimidate me. I told the mall manager, he didn't do anything about it. He canceled my contract. I moved to Atlanta for 2 years. I had a business in Atlanta. They did the same thing there. Then I had an eBay business. They hacked my phone, did the same thing there. Had a friend in Connecticut. They got to him. I was there working, airbrushing for three months, and he manipulated it and didn't help me. So long story short, right now, they pushed me back in the city of Akron. I'm being bullied by mobsters, gangsters. I haven't been able to live at all for 4 years. I should be living really great and have the same opportunity as any man, but I've been being attacked. When I got back to the city, they blocked me from all housing, and I'm blocked from 2 Walmarts, a motel, Airbnb. They target him. That's what they do. They cough. They've been coughing, just doing really bad things to me. And right now, I'm in a house to where I'm being harassed in this house, and then they're scaring me to evict me if I come and spoke. But I came and spoke today because I can't keep being bullied in this house like this. They have a hidden camera in the room, and I know I don't have a place to live. I need a place to live, but I can't keep living like this. They're trying to put fear into people, and they're using their power and authority. They're connected to city officials. I've been getting harassed by the police from different jurisdictions, and I'm here speaking right now, and they've been bullying me. So I need more time to speak. I tried to submit evidence to you.
James, I'm so sorry, but your time is up, but I'll be more than happy to speak with you after the meeting, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is Deneen Pollard here? Deneen Pollard? Ryan? Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, members of the Akron City Council. My name is Ryan Scanlon, and I'm here to address a serious concern about how federal housing funds are being allocated in Summit County. In 2024, nearly 80% of the emergency solutions grants funds, public money meant to support our most vulnerable populations, went to just two organizations, United Way and Access, Inc. Here's the problem. Jackie Kessner, who publicly goes by Jackie Hemsworth, is the chair of the Summit County Continuum of Care, the body that declares how this funding is distributed. She allocated the largest portion of the funds to her husband, Joe Scalise's organization, United Way of Summit Medina County, and the second largest portion to her own organization, Access, Inc., where she is the executive director. If that's not concerning enough, Kristen M. Scalise, the Summit County fiscal officer, oversees compliance for these funds, and she is Joe Scalise's ex-wife. This raises serious questions about impartiality in both the allocation and the oversight process. Even if no laws were broken, the situation undermines public trust. The appearance of favoritism in allocating federal housing funds hurts the credibility of the entire system. Other organizations working tirelessly to help our most vulnerable residents are being left with crumbs while decisions appear to benefit a small, connected group. I urge the council to push for an independent audit of these allocations, stricter conflict of interest policies, and greater transparency in the decision-making process. This isn't about pointing fingers. It's about ensuring that federal housing funds serve the people who need them the most. And I can see I have a little bit of time left, and I just want to thank you guys for doing the good job you do when you do it. Again, my name's Ryan Scanlon. I've been doing mobile outreach on the streets of Akron for going on 6 years now. I operate a peer support clubhouse on the east side, and I work with trauma survivors that are facing and recovering from homelessness. And I'm a certified peer support specialist. I'm really looking for more support on trying to relocate our clubhouse. And anybody who would like to talk to me about the corruption that I'm talking about, this is corruption, this is overlapping power, this is definitely conflict of interest. Anybody, please reach out. I can point to all of how I learned all this really easily. No one told me any secrets. It's right there. It's all public. So thanks for giving me the time to speak.
Yes, Ryan, thank you first for what you do, and thank you for sharing that information. After the meeting, Councilman Jeff Fusco will meet with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I do believe we have Acacia Reynolds, who's online with us. Acacia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Great.
So I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am calling on Akron as a city to continually be involved in the conversation of best practices. We can study all we want, but it's a waste of time and money if nobody does anything with the studies. I am concerned about the price tag on this review for the use of force for our police department. It is so plainly obvious to the residents of Akron how badly the use of force policy in Akron is. And if we as lay people can say there's something seriously wrong here, why do we need to pay exorbitant amounts of money for a law office to say the same thing? And so far, from everything that I'm hearing, from everything that I'm seeing, we have already done studies. They may not be fine-tuned to this specific issue, but we already know the problem. Our auditor from the Citizens Review Board has underlined problems that we should be looking at and has been doing so. But if nobody is taking his accounts into any consideration, why would we expect that the very expensive review is going to do any better? all it's going to do is waste city resources that could be better spent elsewhere. My husband went to GPT, excuse me, and asked it to write a best practices policy for use of force. My husband has distributed this to the council and relevant members of mayoral staff. And I could highlight to you different parts of it that if a computer can say, this is a good use of force policy, and it's better than the one we currently have in Akron, I'm stunned. Just the value of life, the lack of value of life in Akron police force when using force on its citizens is devastating to this community. And we need to do better, Akron. Thank you.
Thank you, Acacia. I do believe, Mr. Pollard, you just came in. You had signed up to speak. And just before you speak, we're just going to have you to be sworn in by our clerk, okay?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you.
And turn on your mic. Hit the button right there. There we go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. How y'all doing? Y'all all right? God is good. My name is Denane Pollard, if y'all don't know me already. Mr. Carey, how you doing? Here to speak on our rights again, some more of our rights. A citizen of the United States, these are Supreme Court rulings, if anybody want to look them up. A citizen of the United States is a civilly dead entity operating as a co-trustee and a co-beneficiary of the PCT, Public Charitable Trust. The constructive Sister-Q Trust is a U.S. incorporated under the 14th Amendment, which upholds the debt of the United States of America and U.S. Inc. Get to this one. Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham. If a state converts a liberty into a privilege, the citizen can engage in the right with impunity. 28 CFR 29.10. Owner can withdraw from a program, and the owner may withdraw from the program at any time by removing from the program or removing the decal of the program and changing the license plate as necessary. So that means we are all participating in a business. Say the mayor is going to spend that money on police reform. I think we can spend that money just reforming ourselves. I think we can reform our food diets. I think we can reform our education and get some of this ancient knowledge in there. You know, I did some research on the mayor, come to find out his father was in jail for money laundering. And his mother worked for NASA. I think y'all might want to do y'all's research on who this man really is and why he's here. I think everybody can agree that we can spend that money on something way more beneficial, like free energy. What are we waiting on? We know that atoms exist. We know that protons exist, neutrons exist. We know the ionosphere exists. We know electricity exists. Y'all tired of paying bills? Why don't we invest in our own selves? Why we don't have our own farm? Why are we so much of a consumer? Why do we don't have our own anything to stand on? Just as the people and knowing your own rights. And these aren't just rights for me just saying it as a black man. These are your rights too. Your rights too. I don't think we read enough, and I don't think we're well educated. I think we are so far behind. Until we all make a change, this is what we're gonna have to deal with. And with that being said, thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. That concludes our public comment period. We do want to thank all those who came down to participate. Council, before you is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The consent agenda passes 13-0.
We'll now move to old business. We'll start with rules. Councilman McKittrick.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Madam President, I'd like to yield to the sponsor, Councilman Garrett.
Thank you, Brad, Chair, for the opportunity. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This resolution, Madam President, talks a little bit about the importance. This emergency measure is necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, safety, and the welfare for the reason that this will express condolences and sympathy to the Jasmine family and to others that were negatively impacted by this tragic event. I thank you, Madam President, for your leadership. Without your leadership, I feel like this would have been stalled, but my colleagues, I thank you as well for considering this measure. It is the least that we can do to this family, and I thank you so much, and I ask for passage this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Garrett. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This resolution passes 13-0.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Time on 6, 7, and 8. The request of the committee is file 9 through and including 12, as those are conditional uses that we have voted upon, and then time on the balance. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Time will be granted. Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
Requesting time on both items, please.
Thank you. Time will be granted. That concludes our old business. We'll now move into new legislation, starting with Planning and Economic Development.
Item number 1, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to create additional parking at 1990 Parkgate Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco. This item will be referred.
Item number 2, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a 2-family dwelling at 161 Hillbush Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco. This item will be referred.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a dual-use cannabis dispensary at 926 East Waterloo Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco. This item will be referred.
Item number 4, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Akron Energy Systems, LLC for professional consulting services in support of the Fixed Network Advanced Meeting Infrastructure, AMI project, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the construction and replacement of a wind cone at the Akron Fulton Airport and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 6, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the construction of Canal Park Stadium restroom improvements and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. This is to move forward with remodeling restrooms down at Canal Park, 3 women's restrooms, 3 men's, and a family restroom.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 7, offered by Kamer, Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Jack Donahue Company for the purchase of equipment and services to help maintain street sweeping equipment and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into an amendment to a consultant agreement without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with CT Consultants, Inc. for professional engineering services for the Portage Lakes Water Main Extension Project and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Sorrento Acquisition LLC, doing business as Royce U.S. Protection, to provide security-related services with respect to the City of Akron Municipal Building and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 10, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements with Samsara, Inc. without the formality of publicly advertising for bids for the 36-month lease of hardware and accessories, including vehicle locators, dash cameras, and asset trackers for all Public Service Department vehicles and equipment and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules, please.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. This is basically to move forward with outfitting all our public service vehicles with our AVL systems, and it also includes something new, dash cameras with all our vehicles, and we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 11, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Bob Sumerel Tire for the purchase of specialty refuse tires and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 12, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with GPD Group after publicly advertising for qualifications for traffic engineering general services and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 13, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Signal Service Company without the formality of publicly advertising for bids for the maintenance and emergency repair of traffic signals and other related equipment and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 14, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and if awarded to accept and expend the Ohio Department of Development Advanced Energy Grant for energy-efficient upgrades to multiple city facilities and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules, please.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. This is to move forward with a possible grant for energy efficiency throughout the city. Some of the examples are new LED lighting, furnace replacements, upgrading boiler systems, and replacing roofs. And with that, we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 15, offered by McKittrick. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and if awarded to accept and expend the 2024 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick.
The committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
If this grant is awarded, we will be able to replace some aging radios for the fire department, and we're asking for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 16, offered by McKittrick, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Stryker Sales without the formality of publicly advertising for bids for the purchase of 16 LifePak 35 cardiac monitors and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick?
The committee's report is favorable and also asking for suspension of the rules.
Thank you. Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. The department has tried for the last 2 years to be able to obtain grants to replace our monitors on our med units, and we're to the point now where it's quite necessary to get new monitors on each of the frontline units, and we're asking for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 17, offered by McKittrick, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids with a consulting firm or firms to conduct police lieutenant promotional testing and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick?
The committee's report is favorable, and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
We have vacancies in the ranks of the police department, and this will allow them to give testing to promote to lieutenants, and we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 18, offered by Amobian, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept and expend the 2025 Childhood Obesity Prevention and Environmental Health and Sustainability Award funds from the United States Conference of Mayors to assist with startup costs for Summit Fresh Mobile Market and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Amobian?
The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
We heard a wonderful presentation this afternoon. Essentially, the city has been awarded a $175,000 grant to support Summit Fresh Mobile Market. It's a nonprofit addressing our food insecurity throughout the city, a mobile grocery store serving food desert communities. And just to let you know what some of these communities are, most of them are in these zip codes: 44302, 44305, 44306, 44307, and 44314. You could go to, is it on our website, the city's website, or will be, this videotape? No, not yet. Anyway, oh, go ahead, Casey.
I'm not sure. We included it, I believe, in a press release that went out about the grant award fairly recently. I'm not sure that it lives on our website necessarily, though. If communications was here, I could tap them in. I'm sorry.
It's an exciting opportunity. They partnered with Mahoney County, and the county was exceptionally gracious to allow them to see all of their material to see how to replicate this program in our community. And as those of you who live in areas where there aren't grocery stores available, you can go on this van and actually walk around and purchase food, fresh produce, vegetables, fruits, meats, all kinds of things, with credit cards, SNAP, vouchers, almost everything you could think of utilizing to purchase items. And they showed us the videotape this afternoon. But I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I think everybody on council was excited about it. And hopefully we can do something to support this program. It's a nonprofit. You'll probably see it. They're utilizing the Mahoney van now, but they eventually they're going to purchase a van, I think, through them, and they will change the language on the van. But it's a way for those areas to get fresh food. We have about 5 or 6 or 7 grocery stores on West Market Street. But again, West Market is zoned for that. I think most of you know that we have Aldi's going across the street from Acme 1. For those of us who live in that area, say that doesn't make any sense. But again, we can't stop people from developing businesses. But this van hopefully will help us out in providing food, fresh food, and those nutritious produce to those communities. And it will also help with our childhood obesity problem. And it's a wonderful presentation they gave this afternoon. And please go online and listen to it. It was really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0.
That concludes our new legislation. We'll now move into our committee assignments, rules. Councilman McKittrick.
2 p.m.
Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Lombardo.
3 p.m.
Parks and Recreation, Councilwoman Connor. Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Kamer. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Is there anything else coming before council at this time? We have a motion to adjourn. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.